Bevo, how did you reset at half-time? You guys seemed a little bit shell-shocked there towards the end of the second. How did you sort of get back to it, get an even kill?
Yeah, good question. Because it was so important that we did reset and that the players believed that we could still do it. And part of the process was investing in what we talked about at the start of the game and what had worked well early and understanding what had happened in that sort of 10 to 12 minute period. There's no doubt that there's a slight drop off with some of our intensity in a couple of areas, but there's no doubt that Richmond's individual brilliance and they were rampaging, taking their opportunities left, right, and centre, and whether it's Dustin Martin or Shai Bolton or definitely some clearance stuff that we'd been on top of to give them territory, and they really bounced out of their half-back area too easy. So I think we identified all the things that were going wrong, but also understanding that we'd done enough to put the Tigers under enough pressure early to gain some early momentum. And to our players' credit, using your word, they reset and the boys, I suppose, motivated motivated each other and initiated some terrific things, and then it was just a grind, wasn't it? So it was great to hold sway, and terrific to see some of the boys who sort of on the fringe a little bit, and Robbie and Mitch kick a couple of important goals late. But Caleb was, when we lost Hayden Crozier, CD was playing an important role for us through that midfield. I thought when he went back, just gave us some stability, and I could individualise Tim English had a really impactful game, and that midfield brigade with their clearance factor, Marcus and Tom and Adam and the boys following suit, it was a really important factor in the game.
Just how gutsy a win is that, considering you're a couple of soldiers down? Richmond are playing some scintillating footy in that second quarter and able to get back in front. Just how gutsy a win is that?
Well, I think there's a lot of intestinal fortitude about the win. There's no doubt. Richmond were probably in the same boat, losing Graham, and they had Lynch off for a period of time, so didn't feel like we're at a huge disadvantage comparatively. I think Richmond looked like they'd had a couple of lads who were pretty sore, and they'd had to pull the trigger on their sub reasonably early. So, but when you're trying to establish a foothold of your future, the in the now stuff and making the most of the opportunities when the games are tight, and creating those sort of memories that you can invest in and use for the future are always really critical. And this afternoon's a great example of that. And obviously to win at the Coliseum, and we haven't beat Richmond a lot over the journey, so a couple of extra positives for us, because it's a side that obviously can really hurt you. So important afternoon for us.
What do you put more focus on from this game, the way that you fought back in the second half, or do you look at that sort of 15-minute period where you gave up quite a few goals? I mean, what's the sort of thing you take out from it?
Oh, you've got to identify with the trough there, in that second quarter when Richmond got the momentum. I mean, there's no doubt in flow, and when they came at us quick, we got our mechanics wrong, from our back end, and our layers are out, and we gave them blatant overlap too easy. We didn't hedge well enough. Our decision making was really poor, critically so. Whereas last week, I felt like our back 6 and 7 were enormous, to keep Brisbane, I think, to 53 points. They still had 51 entries last week, Brisbane, and as much as, we played some good footy up the ground, our backs really held up well. Whereas this afternoon, it was the antithesis of that in the second quarter, and it was a little bit disturbing. So, we're after consistency there. It won't get any easier stability-wise, because Alex has got concussion and Hayden Crozier is likely going to be out. So, but we've got to keep training and educating the boys around how the mechanics of our back 6 and 7 are crucial to being able to defend the whole ground. We can't just blame it on lack of source pressure. So we'll come together on that. But then, the other part of your question, absolutely we will identify and build up the fact that, we looked good and formidable early and we scored and had a pretty hefty first quarter as far as, I think we kicked 6 in the first quarter, didn't we? And then I suppose just the fundamentals and the principles of just playing hardcore, good hard footy when it's a bit damp, they came to the fore as the game went on. So yeah, we'll praise that, we'll laud it, we'll put it up in lights because it's going to be important as we go into the game in Adelaide against Port.
You know what Crosby has done, the extent of it yet?
Just got a knock to the back. Don't know the extent of it yet, but I shouldn't be saying he's going to be out, but because he may not be, I suppose. But I figured it was serious enough that he'll be in doubt. But no, I'll give you more on that when we know.
Luke, what does Tom Liberatore mean to you and this club? Yeah, amazing today. He's got a big week next week.
Yeah, you're alluding to the fact he's going to play his 200, Sam, yes. He's just been amazing. Talk about ancestry, the Liberatores with our football club. Tony, I was fortunate to play with, but Tom's just been enormous. He's had his trials and tribulations, as we know, here and there, but he's a father to Oscar, and he's I don't know if he's matured, but he's stabilised his life, and what he does for our team and our club is significant. And with his knee injuries, he's a little bit modified with what he does in training, so he needs to really look after himself, and he comes up, every week, and so it'll be great to salute him and celebrate, the fact that he's going to play, get the double century, and he might hold the bat up again.
And conditions today were sort of tailor-made for him in a way, were they?
Yeah, no, he plays well in conditions like this, as you know, Sam, but he's highly skilled, isn't he? And so the dry suits him as well, but yeah, there's not many that get in and under and are as clean and as feisty as Tom is, and once again he showed that, and his teammates came along with him.
You said he was concussed. How's he feeling now? And do you have any thoughts around that sort of the incident, the circumstances that led to the concussion?
Look, I can't comment on it. If you got concussion, then you're not really okay, are you? But and I didn't see a replay of it, so I don't even know how it happened. So I can't really give you much on it at all, other than the fact that if he subbed out under that, then he's obviously definitely not going to play next week, and hopefully he's going to be okay, and it's not something that's going to hold him up for too long. But we'll see. He's had the odd head knock along the way, Alex, so hopefully he's going to be okay.
Do you think it took a bit of time for the defensive group to adjust when Alex went off? Do you think that played a bit of a part in that second quarter there? Or?
Yeah, it might have. It definitely had something to do with it. There's no doubt about it. Because, think about the game that Alex played for us last week. He was a key contributor in that back end, and we were a bit unstable. We put Anthony, because they weren't a big forward line, we put Anthony Scott there for a period. So Anthony did okay, but then we swapped that. We put Bailey Williams back there, and I thought Bailey gave us some stability. But as I said, I felt like when Caleb went back there too, he's such a terrific leader, CD, and he's been good, for us in that midfield in the last couple of weeks. But he just gave us that layer, that come forward layer, that intercept layer, that pressure layer, and he just settled us a little bit. There were some things. We tried a few things to stop their momentum in that second quarter, but they were just too brilliant. So I just love the fact our boys were able dig in and stabilise and see it through.
Look, you don't play here again this year. You play twice in 4 weeks, and then not again unless you play finals. Does that frustrate you at all, or do you feel like you should be playing here more? More than given you won't potentially play here until September.
No, not really. I mean, I think we've still got our 2 Ballarat games. Then we've got 9 travels this year, I think. That combined with Marvel, it's hard to fit too many MCG games in, isn't it? So you get what you're given, and we really look forward to the challenge of playing here, purely from what you just mentioned around the prospect that if you can be, you're playing here at the end of the year. So it's good to be able to think that you've got some positive history at the MCG. So it's always, you crave a little bit more, but you get what you're given, and that's all okay.
Just in terms of that last quarter, it seemed like you were able to win at the source a lot and dominate territory. How big was Tim English in that? And I guess, his stand in the game is probably one of the premier rucks. Would that be a fair observation?
Yeah, Sam, I think Tim's really progressing and showed tremendous leadership this afternoon, and I thought he had a huge influence on the game, and as the game wore on he became even more critical. First part of that last quarter he was had some significant moments, and we were asking one or two to play full quarters. We asked Bailey Smith to play a whole quarter, and I thought Bailey was really influential in that last quarter too, which is really good for him. And so I mean that's so important for us that Tim has a presence, and I think he's had a really solid start to the year. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.